We're live. Give the music like 3 seconds to to populate. Oh, that's the wrong one.
I was like,
It's all good. It's all good.
I thought he was switching it up.
Remix. All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of Dynasty Overload, a fantasy podcast. To my right, we got the Razinator, Razman in the building. Below him, you got G-Lore in the building, aka Fantasy Genius. And today we got a special episode. We're going to talk. We have various different topics. We're going to be all over the place, but it's going to be a fun show. So bring out your pads, bring out your notes. Hey, it's about to go down. So, how you guys feeling today, man?
Hey, I'm good, bro.
Yeah.
A little tired, but I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Hey, let's get it. Let's get it. So, let's go to She-Lore for current events. Hit up the current events. What's going on in the landscape of the NFL right now?
So here's what's going on. So we literally just are coming off of franchise tag frenzy, in which there were numerous players that actually received the franchise tag. So Joshua Jacobs, the running back who had an elite season for the Raiders, actually got franchise tag. Also, we saw a franchise tag for Saquon Barkley, who's not going to be free on the open market. The other big news, of course, is Lamar Jackson receiving the franchise tag. So very interesting to see how that plays out. Will he be a Raven? Won't he be a Raven? And the last big piece there is we also have Derek Carr, who was actually signed with the New Orleans Saints to be their future starting quarterback. And the Giants, the New York Football Giants, brought back main guy Daniel Jones on a crazy contract for a mediocre quarterback. But shout out to him on getting a bag. So I like Daniel Jones because now he at least has some security. Shout out to perspective.
Man, that was a shocker to me. I'm like, Daniel Apple Turnover Jones gets a big deal.
Woo!
Ooh, man. Hey, Gino got the bag too. So I mean,
they
paid Gino like a franchise quarterback, but he's a starting quarterback. So I mean, Daniel Jones got paid. So hey, if Daniel Jones can get paid, anybody can get paid.
That's right.
So guys, let me kick this thing off with my first question for you guys. Who has more of an impact this year, Rachaad White or Brian Robinson Jr.?
Rachaad White, 100% to the moon. I'm gonna tell you why. Rachaad White is already a phenomenal receiving back, in which he already had 50 receptions last year. And the big thing about Brian Robinson is I believe there's still a lot of unrest with the new offensive coordinator coming in, Eric Bieniemy. You see a return of Antonio Gibson into this offense because I think he just wasn't utilized properly. And there's this big looming thing where Washington sitting right dab in the middle of the first round at pick 16 could possibly bring in another back that actually has elite talent. Maybe a Jamar Gibbs, maybe a Bijan Robinson to come in and really make some noise. And then one of the underrated things there is potentially maybe someone like a Joyce McKinnon actually is a free agent for Kansas City, is very familiar with that offense, possibly being a target at a very low cost for the Commanders. We saw him make a whole bunch of touchdown receptions last year. So for that reason, I'm out on Brian Robinson and stocks up for Rachaad White.
Okay.
I'm going to agree.
What about you, Tommy?
I'm going to agree. And I have a question. Is Gibson still on y'all's team? Is he still under contract?
Yes, sir. Still on a rookie deal.
Okay, listen. White to the moon. White to the moon. And listen, I know they have a different quarterback now. But Fournette, they had a lot of passing, so those running backs was catching passes. I like that, so I'm going White.
I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna be crazy here. You both go Rachaad White, which that's the logical thing. I'm gonna make a case for Brian Robinson Jr., and this is why. I think he gets every single goal line carry, and I can see this guy as a guy who potentially gets 10 touchdowns. Now, Don't question me what the yards are going to look like. Don't question me about what the workload is going to look like. But when you're talking about those tough yards, when you're talking about how EB used Pacheco in Kansas City, I can definitely see something similar in DC to where Brian Robinson is getting tons and tons of goal line carries. And if he gets 10 touchdowns, things could be fun. You can be looking at it at a Jamal Williams type of season, even if he has right around 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns is big for fantasy. I get his PPR, but look, give me the guy that's going to be vulturing all the touchdowns in Washington. Brian Robinson Jr. to me most likely gets a boost. Who got the next question?
I'll go. I'll go with my first one. Okay. It's actually a two-part question. So this is question 1 and 2 coming at you. All right.
Okay.
Who do you find yourself constantly drafting in your startups? And the follow-up to that question is why?
Hmm.
So like who you have the most shares of, and why do you feel like it's that person?
Okay. I'll go ahead and go. Since it's in my startups, I usually kind of go the same kind of wide receivers. You guys know all the receivers I normally go, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think when you're in the middle of the startup, so based off of where I'm at, I have different strategies. So if I'm drafted in the middle of the draft, the guy that continues to fall to me is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know why, but I had him ranked 5th over a guy like Jalen Waddle, which you can say is interchangeable. So even if Jalen Waddle is a true for sure wide receiver 5 in Dynasty, right? If that's the case, then you can make a case that Amon-Ra St. Brown is wide receiver 6, even though a guy like Garrett Wilson is coming up. So a lot of times in startups, middle to late second, Amon-Ra is just sitting there, and the value is just too good to pass up. That's why I continue to draft Amon-Ra St. Brown. And in this current startup with rookies in it, he fell to me at the 306. Crazy, insane value. I'll be stupid not to grab him there. Sheila?
Absolutely.
So for me, it's George Pickens. He is the guy that always finds his way home, and I'm so excited about it. I believe he has the enormous potential to really break out this year. And typically, I'm finding him right around round 5. So in the startup draft, grabbing him around round 5 is always good money for me because I think he definitely has tremendous upside. As we know, Pittsburgh is a wide receiver factory. From the time he hit the field last year, it was clear that he was way better than Deontay Johnson, as well as Mr. Claypool, who ended up getting traded. So I'm looking forward to a major season for George Pickens, and that's why I always find him because he's a great value on round 5.
Mine is going to be Mark Andrews. I think I'm getting great value on Mark Andrews, and I think that most people are believing that Mark Andrews' value is tied to Lamar Jackson, and I don't believe that. I believe whoever you put in there, whatever stooge you plant at quarterback, is going to continue to feed the ball to Mark Andrews because one, he's basically the only option there, and two, this is the same as one. He's the only option there, you know. So I believe Mark Andrews is going to get the ball. I believe Mark Andrews really has the goods, and they're gonna be behind in games. So if Lamar's not there, they're going to be behind, and they're going to be feeding that beast. And I'm just thinking I'm getting great value there. So Mark Andrews is mine.
Okay, here's my
Good.
question.
Do you ever feel that? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Well, give it to me, man, real quick.
go ahead, go back, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So my thing is, do you ever feel that you're overdrafting Mark Andrews, especially in non tight end premium leagues?
I only so I only have been that one non-tight end premium league that we're in. So I would say no, because most of the leagues that we've done this year has been tight end premium, and they're leaving Mark Andrews on the board like he didn't put up almost 500 yards 2 seasons ago. I mean 500 points 2 seasons ago, according to our scoring in those leagues. So hey, let's go Mark Andrews.
Good deal, Sheila.
Okay, so transitioning out, right? And I think Mark Andrews' piece is really good. And it kind of ties into this question. Perfect segue. Who's your favorite tight end late round sleeper that you're grabbing this?
Oh, listen, mine is you guys know mine, Dolich, whatever his name is. However you
Dulcich.
say that, guys.
That's mine too.
Whatever his name is, that guy. You know, listen, that guy was putting up points when he was he was in the game, you know. So listen, I'm loving it. I'm loving the offense. I know somebody has to catch the ball, so this kind of gonna be like a hot ticket. One of them is gonna be like we're all getting these lotto tickets with that Denver offense, and listen, somebody's gonna have the winning one. And listen, that Dolich pick is that's a good bet right there because listen, you buying him low, and he already flashed great potential. And one thing that Manny tried to hit me on the other day, he was like, "Who are those weapons in Denver?" You remember his squeaky little voice. But listen, yeah, you got Judy, you got Judy, and yeah, you got Dulcich or whatever his name is.
You don't even
That
know his
guy,
name.
that guy, Greg
You
is his
don't even
name.
know his name.
Yeah, his
That was
name's Greg.
his last name.
All right. But yeah, me and Manny on the same page. Me and Squeaky Voice is on the same page for Dulcich.
Very cool, man. Mine is actually Mr. Mike. He's the guy that I'm always looking for to grab late if I can. He's going to be a free agent. I think he's going to definitely go somewhere where he's going to be utilized more. Year before we had the Tyreek Hill addition to the team, Gasecki was actually on the rise. So much to the point where the Dolphins actually used a franchise tag on him. So for me, I'm looking for him to actually really make some headway on his new team.
Mhm.
Really make a major impact in fantasy. I think I've seen them in startups going like around 12 to around 15. If you can grab somebody like that and just have them as a tight end too, you might be looking at tight end one value, a top 10 season in front of them.
Good stuff.
That's good stuff. So mine is also Greg Dulcich. Okay, Tommy Dulcich. But yeah, Greg Dulcich, man, I think he's great value. I grabbed him a lot last year in startups at the end of the rookie drafts. He was sitting there like, "Hey, Manny, come scoop me." So I scooped a lot of Greg Dulcich for free, and he panned out. And what I like best is that Russell is going to find him, and then now with Sean Payton, he's going to find Dulcich as well, which is a perfect segue to my next question: fact or cap? Greg Dulcich is a top 12 tight end this year. Let me go to Sheilor because Tommy's going to say, let me go to Sheilor on this one.
Cap.
Okay. Why?
Why? There's another tight end in Denver that everyone seems to have forgotten about. His name is Albert O. And Albert O is a freakish athlete that never really was utilized properly. I think when they actually look at that system, they're going to actually see that they both have a similar skill set with Sean Payton walking in with the same vision. In that particular instance, now you look at possibly a shared role there. There's typically two distinct ways that Sean Payton actually uses tight ends. One's more the Jimmy Graham role, and the other is more of like your underneath kind of role. I'm not sure which one is going to get that Jimmy Graham role in that offense if they install the same system that they had in the Saints. But look for Albert O. He's someone that's literally on waiver wires right now. Definitely a reason why I think that Dolce is going to actually have a cap on his ability to actually reach that top 12 potential.
All right, Raz, before I fire Sheilor up with that
Oh,
take.
hot.
Okay. I think that's going to be pretty tough for him to do that. So I'm going to say no. Um, but I do believe that it's on the verge. So I believe over under 12 is a good range for him. But I think he'll be right outside the top 10, probably right outside the top 12. But if he lands at 12 or at 10, that's great. So, I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, probably right outside the top 12. Right outside, though.
Well, I'm going to fire Raz up first. First of all, you don't know this guy's name. Number two, you don't even believe in this guy.
Ah,
How can
I
you say
do.
that
I
Greg
do. I
Dulcich,
believe.
how can you say that Greg
I
Dulcich
believe.
can't be a top 12 tight end?
I'm not saying
Top
he
12
can't
tight
be.
ends, man, look, that's something easy to do. All you got to do is catch the ball and score. Tight end premium. I mean, tight ends are not even producing at a high clip. You got guys like Waller play 4 games out, right? You have guys like, Noah Fant. This guy can easily be a top 12 tight end, and this is why. In week 6, he finished tight end 11. In week 7, he finished tight end 7. In week 8, he finished tight end 9. Then he finished tight end 2 in week 13. and then tight end 7 in week 16. He played 10 games. He finished tight end 1 in 5 out of the 10. So how can you tell me, Sheilor, that this guy cannot finish as a top 12 tight end? Makes no sense to me.
I love it. Let's fight. So
And
I think,
you talk about Albert O. This guy is heading into what, year 4?
yeah,
So he's missed the year 3 breakout. Okay. Not only did he break out, he broke in. He's broken. Okay. He's broken. He's damaged goods. He's on the verge of possibly not even making a team, even on a rookie contract. This guy needs a change of scenery. They've destroyed him. He's done. Okay. I don't see Albert O having an impact, even in that system, even with the new offense. I get it. He's an athlete. He's this, he's that. Look, they traded away the wrong guy. They should have kept Noah Fant and traded away Albert O. Look, I'm done with the whole Albert O thing. Yes, you can find him in any league that I'm in, that I've had him in. He's on waivers right now. Go grab him. He's all yours. I mean, I think that Greg
like,
Dulcich,
you sound hurt, Manny.
his
So
upside. Yeah, yes, I'm hurt. Yes,
you
I'm hurt.
lean
Albert O.
on me. But let me
He's
tell you,
from my
so,
country, and he let me down.
okay.
Okay, I'm taking back his Nigerian card. All right, taking back his green card.
There you go.
But
let me
but anyways, I just don't see the Albert O impact. If that's the guy that's competition for Greg Dulcich, I'm excited.
Well, that's the problem. He's not the only guy that's competition for Greg Dulcich. You're going to have an offense that's actually headlined by Jerry Jeudy.
Mm-hmm.
Offense is actually headlined by a return of Tim Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
You brand new set of eyes and a whole new system that's actually being implemented. And with the defense actually being a strong suit, there's only so many balls to go around. But the biggest reason why I don't believe that Greg Dulcich is going to be a top 12 tight end is because this was actually a down year for tight ends. You're going to actually see a return to the tight end position this coming season. You already have your stalwarts in there. You already have your top 7 already kind of locked in.
Mm-hmm.
You have Kelsey. You have George Kittle. Let's go through additional guys. You have Cole Kmet, who finished as tight end 7 last year.
Because of touchdowns.
No, he actually didn't have touchdowns last year. Well, hold on. He had touchdowns last year. He had receptions the year before with no touchdowns. As a rookie, that's what's going on. But again, there's no reason why that shouldn't continue. But the tight end position is strong enough to the point where there's enough talent that also suppresses them, in addition to the actual offense with other weapons actually suppressing. If they have it their way, that Sean Payton offense typically runs through passing the ball to running backs. That's another reason. Typically, you're not going to see a top 10 running back reception receiving type back along with the top 10 season for a tight end. It's rare to have that going on. So that's another reason why your boy.
Who's the receiving threat in the backfield? I'm not afraid of Javonte his knee. I mean, who is in that backfield?
So you don't think that our guy, Mr. Sean Payton, isn't going to go into the draft and draft one amazing pass catching running backs? You don't think he might bring in somebody that actually?
H.A. Let's go.
And I hear you, but my eyes work. This guy is a stud. But we'll see. We're
I
gonna
don't
come
think
back.
Albert O is a great blocker, so I think that might be one of the things that takes him down.
Well, we're gonna come back at the end of the year, and we're gonna play all these things back. I'm great at keeping receipts. Who got the next question?
I'm gonna go with mine. It's another 2-parter, and that is the guy that you would like to have on your team, but you just don't seem to ever be in position to grab him. And then the second part of that is why do you feel like you're not being able to grab that guy that you like? And I'm gonna go first, and it's gonna be Garrett Wilson. I love Garrett Wilson. I sure wish I could have him. He looks nice and pretty on everybody else's teams, but he never makes it to mine. And I wondered. I said, why can't this guy ever make it to my team? And I just think, like, in the positions I'm in, I'm usually on, like, for some reason I'm never drafting in the middle. I think if I drafted in the middle one time I would have it, but I'm usually on the opposite ends. And I feel like Garrett kind of goes in the middle more so than he goes on the ends. And the reason I believe that is because I think if you're in the beginning of the draft, you're not picking again until 211. Usually he's gone by then. And if you on the other end, you're trying to you're trying to see if you can make up a quarterback or something like that. But you have guys like Lamar Jackson might be down there, Jonathan Taylor might be down there. So you're kind of trying to grab that tail end, and he goes right there in
Now,
that
I'm going to
middle
tell
of the
you
second.
guys the real reason why Razman doesn't
Oh,
have
here we go.
many shares of Garrett Wilson.
Go ahead.
I have seen this guy draft guys like Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson
Not in the
over
second.
Garrett Wilson. He
Not in the
continues to disrespect Garrett Wilson. He looks at Garrett Wilson as a guy he can grab in the 4th round. No, Garrett Wilson is a worth 2nd round draft capital. He's that good.
Told you,
People
middle
are
second
now
round is where
starting to
he's
see.
going. He's
People
going
are
middle
starting to
second
see.
round before I get back to him.
See, look, I've robbed everybody. I've been getting this guy in the 4th, in the 3rd, and now people's eyes are open. Thine eyes have seen.
Give me 1-6 and 2-7, and I'm gonna get a Garrett Wilson.
But you know what though? Also, when I don't grab that Garrett Wilson character that you say, I pay up. I've paid 1st and the 2nd. I've paid 2 firsts at times. I mean, I pay whatever I got to pay to get my guy. And that's what separates us, Tommy. I'm him. I'm him, Tommy. I go gets mine. Look, when you like a guy, you pay.
Tell me the guy
pay.
that you. Tell me the guy that you like that you're not, that you for some reason not getting.
See, that's a tough one. I usually get what I want, but I'm gonna go Jonathan Taylor. I like Jonathan Taylor, but kind of like you. But for me, a lot of the reason why I don't get is Jonathan Taylor's. I disrespect the whole running back situation. Like, I don't even really mess with these guys till round 3. He's never available in round 3. I see him all the time, and I say, Jonathan Taylor or Jalen Waddle. Give me Jalen Waddle. Give me the guy that's going to last in the league just a little bit longer. So that's kind of why I don't draft a Jonathan Taylor. I see him there. I say, oh, the price is too expensive, right? Then I go ahead and grab me a broken down Javonte Williams, a Saquon Barkley's there. There's so many options to where I'm not drafting Jonathan Taylor at the 204. I can't do it. Every time I try to hit the draft button, I go, I can't. Then I either trade back or I grab a receiver. That's the reason why I think I have maybe 1 Jonathan Taylor share, maybe 2. And the only reason why that guy is on my team, it was orphans. It was orphan teams that I took over. It's just tough. Jonathan Taylor is a real tough guy to gauge. And then sometimes when you draft him or you trade for him, like I seen a guy trade like 3 first-round picks for him in multiple places, and then he gets hurt. So he's just too expensive. That's the main reason. In a nutshell, he's just too expensive for me.
He didn't get hurt the first year either. The first year he put up 350 points.
Look,
he got hurt the second year.
Look, you
sound
hurt right now. It was me that gave
up the 3 first for him.
You sound hurt right now.
It was me.
I was naming somebody from the league that his name starts with a V.
It was me.
His name doesn't start with an R. His name starts with a V.
Well, I'm saying I did it 2 years ago.
Hey, the guy's name that starts with an R is kind of hurt right now because he seems like he's done the same thing.
Last year hurt me. I wasn't expecting it.
So the guy that I love that never ended up on my team is actually Jamar Chase. And the reason is I draft him and I trade him every single time because there's so much value in actually trading them. You're going to get 3 premium assets. You can get 3 first-round picks, especially in the startup. You can get a receiver and first-round picks. I think I've traded them like 3 or 4 different times. The most recent time I traded them, I got 2 first-round picks. I got Treylon Burks. I got Rashad Bateman. I got Khalil Shakir. And I was like, that's great. Bye. See you later. So for me, I think it's always I think what makes me unique is I'm never opposed to trading anybody. If I get an overpay, if I get some type of value that I feel like is through the moon, you're gone because I know what I'm going to be able to do with those assets. So I think it's always good to be as flexible as possible. So that's why I don't have my guy who I love in Mr. Jamar Chase.
One thing I can say about you, Sheila, is that you literally trade everybody. Sometimes you trade I've never seen somebody say, hey, Jamar Chase is my guy. He's gone. He loves Bijan Robinson. He's traded Bijan Robinson already like 2-3 times. Like, he loves all these different guys. But the thing with you that I admire is that You have no emotional attachments to any player. Difference with me is when I get my guy, he's never leaving my team.
Mm-hmm.
And if he does leave my team, it's for a wholly overpay. Like, I love Bijan Robinson. A guy this morning, I woke up, he sent me Russell Wilson and Kenneth Walker. I said, wait a minute. Took out the crust in my eyes, and I looked again. Russell Wilson and Kenneth Walker for Bijan Robinson. Deuces. Peace. I made that deal. So
he better be drafting a quarterback.
Man.
He better be drafting a quarterback.
Man.
Do
If
that
he
for
drafts
running back.
Bijan Robinson for that, I'm laughing.
Me too.
I mean, makes no sense. Who else got a question, man?
Okay, I'm ready. So here's my question, guys. When should you trade up and start up drafts?
Can I go first?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is easy. It's for a quarterback. The only time you trade up should be for a quarterback or a special talent that you feel is generational. I mirror this strategy to the same thing that NFL GMs do. You should only literally trade up for number one, a quarterback, or number two, a generational type talent. For example, the Saints traded up to come get Olave. They feel that Olave is a generational type talent. If he's not generational, guess what? To them, he is. To them, they feel like this is the guy. This guy is special. So you trade up for the special guys. Some guys trade up just to trade up. I see people trade up and then they draft, let's say, a back that is either older or a back. I'm talking about early in the startup. And I'm like, wait a minute. You traded up for this? And there's all these quarterbacks who hold the value in Superflex, and this is the guy you go grab. Okay, to each his own. I only come up for exceptional talent. Like, for example, Raz offered me a deal in our most recent startup. I should have came up and got Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is that special. I should have, but I said, you know what? If I come up and trade up now to come get a Kyle Pitts, like, I'm going to be in a bad position. I'm like, oh, Hawkinson is out there. This guy is out there. That guy is out there. I'll be fine. And then boom, it's like bang, 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 bang. I'm like, man, you know what? You got to go up and get your guy, especially when you have that gut feeling. Raz, what about you?
Guys, unlike you two, I'll probably trade up more than you guys do as far as trading up. But you guys know I typically don't do the big trade up for the quarterback because I usually feel like, man, that's giving up way too much. But what I like to do is I'll try to trade up a couple times for little pieces that I think is not going to fall to me. That I think is because when I'm building, in my mind, I have a specific team that I'm trying to build usually. So there's pieces that I'm like, okay, this piece might not fall to me because I pay close attention to the board most times when I have the opportunity. Not like this week. This week's been crazy, but so I want to come up. But something that I do is I come up and then I go down and then I do this whole thing where I'm coming up and coming down and I move around the board, just getting the pieces that I want, and then like the pieces that I went down for, I'll trade that so I can come up later. And it might seem a little crazy, but I'm targeting specific pieces that I'm looking for, and that usually works for me. Usually, I never trade up and I'm lost on what I'm doing. If I'm ever going to be lost on something or like a little unsure, it's if I'm trading down. And so I believe definitely if you're in a position where you don't feel comfortable with any of the people that's around that ADP, hey, trade down. See if anybody will give you something. You'll kind of at least get one extra thing. And one thing that I always do is I count draft picks as players. So if we do a pick swap, say I'm going around down and you toss me a second, I'm counting that as two players. I'm saying, oh, we're getting 2 for 1. Let's go. As long as it makes sense. You might not want to do that with a third, but if you're getting a second or definitely a first, I'm counting those as players. If you can get 2 for 1 plus a pick, to me that's 3 for 1. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's good. I think for me, it's I'm similar to Manny in that regard. Most recent startup, I literally made a trade up to go get Josh Allen today. And then I also made a trade up to go get Dak Prescott, who for some reason was available in the third round. It was very
It's crazy.
Hey, let me go get them. But the other piece is, I think it's important to recognize when a tier break is happening,
Yeah.
everything is about to fall off. And typically for me, right at the end of round four is right when everything falls off. And you can find some low hanging fruit. So I just did a massive move up to go ahead and actually get right into a spot right here now. And I always want to make sure when I'm moving up, there's a cluster of people that I want. And I always want to make sure when that person's actually on the clock. Because I don't want to get sniped. I don't want to make any type of moves unless I know for sure I can get who I want. So I already have in mind a player that I want, but I'm going to examine the whole board before I actually grab that pick just to go ahead and make sure everything is good. So those are the times that I think it's important to move up. Most of the time, I'm a move down guy because I want to get as many assets as possible. But this particular league, I'm going to be extremely aggressive. So I've been moving up all day. So it's been
Yeah.
fun.
Hey, I was gonna say you're running out of time, and then I went and looked, and the draft is paused. So you are safe, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck.
you didn't know so early. That's why he was taking his time and you
10,
listen to the end,
Oh
relaxed over
man.
there.
10 o'clock, man. 10 o'clock is off. So I got some time after the pod to,
Because I was wondering why he didn't make his pick early. I said he knows
Hmm.
the trade went through.
man,
The
go
guy was just like,
cigar,
mm-mm.
smoke a cigar, and then we'll figure out who to draft.
That's
All right, so
cool.
guys, I got a big question for you guys. This one's big. This is actually a big debate, especially after I did my wide receiver rankings. I had people going off on me, telling me, "Man, you're crazy. How could you? How could you?" So the big question is, who has the bigger season, Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jalen Waddle? Now
I'm
we have to look at the entire situation. Jamison Williams is coming back, they say, right? Oh, the Detroit Lions are going to draft or sign a tight end. Then on the flip side, you hear, oh, Jalen Waddle doesn't have a quarterback. Who's playing quarterback? So it's a unique situation. I want to hear from both of you guys before I drop my thoughts on this topic.
Amon
Oh,
Ross is my guy. And it's very simple. The reason for this is he doesn't have Tyreek Hill on the other side. That's it. That's the
Hmm.
argument. Nothing else to it. He also doesn't have a quarterback that literally is coming off a season with 3 concussions. So for me, it's very simple. It's go get Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is the number one vocal point of the offense. He's gonna actually only I believe Jameson Williams only opens up the offense more for him because he literally is the Cooper Cup in the offense.
Hmm.
Know his quarterback Jared Goff actually comes from the Rams, actually playing with Cooper Cup, and that was his initial response. And now we've seen that type of production. So I'm looking for Amon-Ra St. Brown to go ahead and get us 100 catches, go ahead and do his thing. And even with Jameson Williams there, it only makes him more lethal because now you add a vertical element to that offense. So give me all of Amon-Ra St. Brown over Mr. Jalen Waddle.
Love it. Raz?
St. Brown, and I'm not sitting here saying that he's gonna, I guess, have a better season. Their seasons are gonna be similar, more than likely. But give me St. Brown because for some reason Waddle's going at the beginning of the second round. St. Brown is going. I seen that guy go what round you get him in today, man?
Real
Third round. But
Third
you
round.
have to factor in the rookies and the Devies and all that stuff. But still.
Listen, it was another draft that we did that I thought that I traded up to get CD because I didn't think St. Brown would fall to me. St. Brown fell to me. It was the end of the second, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, geez, Louise, like, are people not seeing what I'm seeing? Because had it just been a bunch of me's in that draft, no way St. Brown would have. It would have made sense for me to move up for CD because no way St. Brown would have came down that far.
Mhm. Yep.
So I mean, yeah, I'm loving St. Brown, and I'm loving the fact that you can get him in the late second round, early third. That's crazy to me.
So St. Brown last year was wide receiver 7, and he had 1,100, yards receiving. But if he can get his touchdown numbers up just by 2 touchdowns, oh my goodness, he's good for 100 catches a year. He's good for over 1,000 yards. If he gets to that magic number of 7 to 8 touchdowns, his numbers drastically looks different. You're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown as a top 5 dynasty or top 5 overall, any format wide receiver. Last year, Jalen Waddle ended up as the wide receiver 8. But the difference is he has the Tyreek Hill over there, and people always wondered, how is that going to work? Not only did he get yards last year in 1,300 yards, almost 1,400 yards, but he had 75 catches, but the big number is the 8 touchdowns. And that's all I'm saying is if Amon-Ra can ever get to that 8 touchdown number with his target and catch potential, man, the sky's the limit for this guy. He can easily be wide receiver 5, easily. So we'll see what happens there. The really great wide receivers are always in that double-digit touchdown. Those Devontae Adams, the Cooper Kupps of the world, the Justin Jeffersons of the world. If he's not making it up in touchdowns, he's getting all the catches and all the yards. So those are some of the things I look for in the elite wide receivers. But make no mistakes about it, both guys are elite if you can grab either guy. But like you said, even with the quarterback downgrade, I mean, Jared Goff is great for, Amon-Ra St. Brown, but Jalen Waddle is phenomenal. I love both. I've ranked them 5 and 6, 6 and 5. They're interchangeable to me, but give me all the Amon-Ra St. Brown at that cost, at the cost of where he's going at his ADP. He gives you way more value than Jalen Waddle at his ADP. Mm-hmm. Next question.
So I want to go ahead and kind of hit on these veteran wide receivers. So here's my question, guys. Would you rather have Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, or Cooper?
That's good. I'm gonna let Raz go first on that one.
3. Which one you want?
If we had to just pick from what we have right now, then I want. If we have to pick from what we have right now, then I want Diggs. If we have to pick from what I believe will happen, or if they get a decent person, I guess, in Oakland, then give me Adams. The one I feel the shakiest about is Kupp, but I also think that Kupp is probably the one that has the most left as far as like of his career, because I think Kupp came into the NFL a little bit later. I think that he might actually be able to hold his value or hold his production just a little bit longer. I do believe that. I think he has less hits and stuff like that. But if we're talking like for just this season, I think Diggs is going to probably be the one that you can trust the most. I think the one that lasts the longest is Kupp, and I think the one with the highest potential, of course, is Adams, especially if he gets a pretty decent quarterback. But I think he might be pretty shaky until we figure out what his quarterback situation is.
Look,
not sure if that answered your question. I think I picked everybody.
It's easy. This is the easiest question ever. It's Devontae Adams. There is no questions, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Give me the guy that continues to go up in targets every single year. Who's his quarterback? It doesn't matter. He played with a guy who Tommy says has a terrible arm. He plays with a guy, he says, oh, this guy is a terrible quarterback. And what did he do? He had a career high in targets.
What do we know that Derek Carr did? Derek Carr has locked on to the same receiver and just force fed him the ball.
But how about Jarrett Stidham?
He did it with Waller, and he also did it with what's the other guy? Renfro. He has a tendency to lock on to a target and just continue to throw the ball that way. I'm just saying he's not there anymore.
Here's what I see. I saw a small sample size of Jarrett Stidham last year, and in week 17, Devontae Adams had 11 targets, 7 receptions, 153 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Doesn't matter who this guy's quarterback is. He is that good. Okay. Cooper Kupp, you can say, okay, he needs Stafford or he needs whatever, the system, whatever. This guy has no system. I have seen this guy go to 2 different systems and produce at a high clip. So give me all the Devontae Adams. This guy had a career high 180 targets, even with Carr. He's the guy that I trust. You can say, hey, if Jordan Love was his quarterback, he will still produce. Like, I trust him until I see Stafford. Yeah, Stafford did it with Goff. He did it with, what's his name? But it was like more so that system, that McVay system. This guy is system proof. He is quarterback proof. Not only that, the numbers that I look at the last 3 seasons, this dude is averaging 1,500 yards per season receiving, right? He's averaging anywhere from 14 to 15 touchdowns a year. Give me all the Devontae Adams at any age, with any quarterback with any system. That's the guy that I trust. As long as he's healthy, he's him.
So let me kind of jump in. I think this is really good. I think this is a great argument. I think it's really splitting hairs across the board. That's why I wanted to kind of put it out there. I think you can make a case for all of the receivers here. The case that I want to make is for Mr. Cooper Cup. What we saw literally while his quarterback was healthy, literally from the time Matthew Stafford actually walked in, all the way until when he actually got hurt, when Cooper Cup got hurt last year. Literally, we saw Cooper Cup be wide receiver one from the time Matthew Stafford got there all the way up until his injury. So I think a lot of times, a lot of people look at their seasons last year. If you had Cooper Cup last year, when he went down, your season ended. But while he was in there, he was wide receiver one. So for me, coming back with McVay, whether it's the system or not, coming back with Stafford, and Stafford really was not himself last year, he still was the wide receiver one for literally a 24-game stretch, including having the Triple Crown season in which he was actually named the Super Bowl MVP. So give me Cooper Cup. He's going to be a target monster. He gets touchdowns. He makes plays. That's the guy for me.
Let me ask y'all this. If let's say that Josh Allen goes down, let's say that Matthew Stafford goes down, and let's say it doesn't even matter who the quarterback is in Vegas. Let's say that quarterback goes down. And let me just pick a quarterback that isn't that good. Let's just say you put Baker Mayfield or any quarterback of that level of your choice with these three guys. Who do you trust out of these three guys with a mediocre to terrible quarterback?
Well,
Cooper Cup. I'm going Cooper Cup if it's a mediocre to terrible quarterback. I'm going to Cooper Cup because I think Cooper Cup gets open over the middle a little bit more than Adams.
I think Adams gets open no matter where he lines up. Nobody can guard the guy.
He gets open, but quarterbacks throw to him more in seam routes and stuff like that. He's a good route runner, but I'm saying open over the middle. Cooper Cup is more so doing the same thing that St. Brown is doing. He's doing that slot receiver, the big slot thing, and just getting wide open, getting open and getting targets. I think that's easier to catch in than what Devontae. Listen, Devontae's a better receiver than Cooper Cup can never dream that he can be. But as far as production, I think that Cooper Cup would be more productive with a terrible quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm still good. Like Devontae and Cooper Cup, I think you don't have a wrong answer here. Both of those guys are elite players, right? We're talking about the top of the food chain. The one thing I would point out about Mr. Stidham when he came in last year is he actually had years in that Patriots offense. So it's not as if he was some bum off the street.
Mm-hmm.
He had a better command of that offense than what Derek Carr had last year. And I think that's the biggest thing. When you see someone have command of an offense like that, you can start seeing all kinds of fun stuff. So, just throwing it out there, man, you might want to grab a Joshua Stidham piece because if they figure out quarterback, you might see them start some games over in Las Vegas next year.
And that's why they keep trying to trade for Mac Jones. So keep an eye on that. That's a real thing. I don't know what he does in Vegas, but hey, they keep bringing his name up, and McDaniels loves that guy for whatever reason is. So it's something that, it's something to keep an eye on. You never know.
I was the Patriots. That trade would have been done.
Yeah.
So you guys want to give us what for who?
Right. Hey, Raz, what's your question? And I'm gonna do one more question, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up the episode.
My next question is actually a deep cut, I guess. It's so we know who the top two tight ends is, like consensus is, as far as in our rookie drafts. I'm asking you, who is your third, and how do you feel about the tight ends in this draft class, rookie draft class altogether?
So repeat that question one more time.
So in this 23 rookie draft class, so the top two tight ends, most people kind of agree on. All right. I'm saying, who is your third, and then how do you feel about the tight end draft class altogether this year?
Okay. I'm gonna let Sheila go, and then I'm gonna go.
Darnell Washington, tight end 3 for me. I believe he is the hidden gem of this class. because he has massive size. He's 6'7", 270 pounds. And at Georgia, he was actually relegated to tight end number two duties, behind a young man by the last name of Bowers, who's actually
Right.
going to be top tight end coming out next year. He
Right.
had that Travis Kelsey title. So they used Darnell Washington sparingly, and they used him more of a blocking role. But he lit up the scouting combine. He has all of the athletic gifts. And what's cool about him is because of his size, he's not going to come off the field. So I think he's going to have an amazing season, and I think he's definitely going to be underrated. As far as the tight end class as a whole, this probably is the deepest tight end draft that I've seen in 10 years of actually doing Dynasty, because you literally have 6 to 7 guys who could actually be starters literally right from day one on a lot of these teams. So this is an amazing draft class. This is definitely something that, reason why in startups I'm actually fading some tight ends as well, because I'm cool with actually drafting some of these rookies and actually seeing what they do next season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my tight end three, it's easy to say Darnell Washington, especially after seeing the combine. My tight end three, even before the combine, is Luke Musgrave. He's a guy that I've been
Mm.
grabbing three. After you have your Kincaids and you have your Mayors, Luke Musgrave is a guy that's being disrespected right now, and I love it. You're seeing him fall out of the top 3 rounds. You're seeing him go undrafted right now as currently constructed. But I can see this guy going to a team like the Detroit Lions. Guess what? They need a tight end. And if you can get a guy in the 3rd round or wherever that this guy falls, he is a pure receiving tight end. And if you're looking for that kind of a player, a guy that's going to receive and not really block, this is the guy, Luke Musgrave.
Okay. Mine is going to be Tucker Craft, South Dakota State. This guy is a receiving weapon, and one of the things I wanted to point out is we're not talking. This tight end class isn't being talked about enough. It's a lot of talent. It's a lot of talent. Everybody's talking about the running backs. We're hearing about the quarterbacks. Hearing a little bit about the top receivers. No one is really hush on these tight ends, and it's a lot of talent in this draft. And that's where it's one of those places that you can, if you're getting those 3rd round picks, you can start stocking up on some good talent at tight end, especially these tight end premium leagues. And glad to hear you guys were up on that too, because that's something that we really haven't talked about.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I love tight ends, and that's like I said, that's one position that I focus on in these tight end premium leagues. If I'm not drafting them late, like the last round, I'm grabbing all of them from free agency. Last year, I was able to pick up Jake Ferguson, who could possibly be the tight end one in Dallas. I was able to pick up Greg Dulcich for free, Jeremy Ruckert. So when it comes to tight ends, it's a position that I really pay attention to. I try to grab as many 3rd and 4th round picks, and I'm going to throw as many darts as I can because eventually I'm going
Absolutely.
to hit a bullseye like I did with Greg Dulcich. So it's really great to focus on that position towards the end of your draft because nobody cares about tight ends. A lot of people don't even scout tight ends. They don't even look at them. So there's tons of tight ends from guys like Luke Musgrave. I can give you guys more. Sam Laporta from Iowa State. There's so many tight ends. Benton Strange. I
Before
mean, the list goes on and on and on. I love the tight end position. I love tight end premium, and that's where I make my money at the end of the draft. So my last question to go ahead and end the show. So let's say that the Jets go out for Aaron Rodgers. He's still in the darkness right now. He still can't see. But it's nighttime. It's night for him right now. If he says, "Hey, I don't want to go to the Jets," after meeting with them, spending time with them, I don't want to go to the Jets. What is the Jets' plan? Where do they go?
they've asked about Ryan Tannehill, but I believe that they've showed their hand. They're going vet QB, whether they have to trade for one or whether it's one on the market. So I definitely think they could go. There could be a market for Jameis Winston or somebody of that ilk, because the Jets want a vet. They want somebody. They really want somebody they feel like they can depend on. But I remember earlier in the offseason, there was all these rumors about them asking for Tannehill, and in a trade. But I think they were just doing their due diligence on all the on all the vet QBs that were available to them. I think what they did was they just put a list together. They went one to all the way to the worst case scenario. Probably asked about all of them, and I think with if they had a definitive no from Aaron Rodgers at this point, then I do believe Derek Carr would be a Jet right now because I think they would have offered him the most money. I think the Jets are just in a position of where they're willing to pay. And listen, and look out for them with this whole Lamar thing because I think in their front office they just said, "Hey, we want a QB." This, because they hadn't had one in forever, and they might think that. Listen, in their division, it's not that strong, so it's not like so they should definitely go for it. So yeah, I think they're going for a vet. But then you can book that.
For me, if it doesn't happen, and I would be shocked if it doesn't happen at this point, there appears to be mutual interest between Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. They were actually sending out a contingency to actually go and meet with him. Not the signer, not signing there or doesn't get traded to the Jets, then I would definitely believe that Jimmy Garoppolo, who already has a history with Robert Saleh coming out of San Francisco, actually ends up being the quarterback for the Jets. I think they've done an amazing job as far as the draft, and I don't think they would want to give up the draft capital. I would love to see Lamar Jackson there, but here's the reality. Whenever an offer is made for Lamar Jackson, the Ravens are going to match that offer. They're not going to go for 2 first-round picks. The only reason why they're actually putting it out there for the market really is because they haven't been able to actually figure this thing out. They've been offering them good contracts, but he's actually trying to hold them to a standard of what happened with Deshaun Watson's contract.
Right.
We all know that was a horrible decision by a horrible franchise with someone that literally should not have actually gotten set up the way he did. So we're going to leave that alone there because that's a whole bunch to unpack. But in closing, Jimmy Garoppolo is the backup plan for me. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't go there, but I'm 95% sure that we're going to see Aaron Rodgers in the Big Apple, and that's going to be amazing. Whether they're good or bad, he's going to give them some media quotes like never before. You're going to see him on the back page, and I know he's going to find him a couple models to hang out with in NYC.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if that's the case, I see this getting done before next Wednesday. So when we actually record the next episode, we're going to be like right in the heart of free agency. We're going to be recording and deals are going to be getting done. We're going to be seeing people go all over the place. So, man, this has been a great episode. So, Raz, man, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Overloaded Raz on Twitter. Let's go.
Shilor, where can the people find you?
At eSteeler Twitter. Come through, holler at me.
Good deal, good deal. So, guys, you guys are listening to Dynasty Overload, a fantasy podcast. Appreciate all the support that you guys are giving us out there. We do have some gear coming up. You guys can also check out the video on the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. You guys can check out the audio version of the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, and on Apple Podcast. Also, be sure to follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and IG at Dynasty Overload. Shilor, take it away.
Hey, appreciate Dynasty Overload. Let's go.
Let's get it. Catch y'all on that next episode. We are out.